Man, big milestone here. Episode 150 of the Beefy Boys breakdown. Going over UFC Fight Night, Barboza versus Yusuff. And man, we are the heartbreak kids when it comes to
It's tough being us, man. Especially whenever I look back at it and I think about the text I sent to you and you calling me and be like, "Are you sure you want this girl and not this girl?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, 100%." And then like I think back and I'm like, "Oh yo, like that text was just a stake in my heart."
the gambling gods were trying to give us a pass. They were trying
Literally.
to the Freudian slip was the correct pick. Um, yeah, man, another 2 for 3 legger week on the parlay, which consistently we're 2 for 3 or 3 for 4 or 4 for 5, and it's like that's a really good pick percentage. Like as a show, we make great picks. We
Well,
just cash no tickets. It's a
it,
fucking kick in the nuts.
I mean, not to mention the fact that like if we were betting straights, like I mean, fuck, we hit the dog and didn't hit a favorite. Like it's like overall value on our picks. We probably still would have been positive even just betting the straights, which shows you that like we're not taking easy just like minus 400s every time.
Oh yeah, bro. If we were betting straights only, we'd be so far in the green. Like so far in the green.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I feel like whenever I was betting or trying to bet straights, I was like value chasing the straights, and then that wasn't working. So it's like, man, you know what though? We can start off with the main event because neither of us put a bet on it. I think both of us were smart enough to recognize that these guys are ranked respectively 11th and ninth in Barboza and Yusuff. And really, I think they're interchangeable at that ranking. You know what I mean? I don't think there's a whole lot of difference between either guy. I think as far as what would be the defining factor there is Yusuff is younger than Barboza. So is Barboza hitting that age wall, going down 10 pounds from his original weight class? Um, but honestly, man, thinking about it in that aspect, Barboza's looked really good since he's been at 45, to be fair to him.
He has, man. And honestly, that's how this fight played out. Like even the guy that won it almost lost it. So like these guys, even after watching that fight, I don't know if they're still pretty interchangeable. Quite fair. I mean, that's not fair to say to the winner, but the classic. I mean, if they fight 10 times, you might get this five five different winners.
Yeah, no doubt. Because like if you think about round one, man, I thought we were on pace for like an under 8 minute fight. Yusuff is just destroying Barboza. I mean, drops him, has him all walk. I mean, just all over the ring. Just literally Barboza's doing whatever he can to try and survive. Dominic Cruz is out there lauding the ref for letting Barboza stay in the fight because Dominic Cruz feels as though he could eat shots from no human on this planet. I don't understand that guy. He would tell
Yeah,
me that he could still fight in the Cheeto Vera fight when he was knocked unconscious, like trying to stand up off of his temple of his forehead. Like, I'm tired of Dom Cruz talking about the refs. All right, like we get it, Dominic Cruz, you've been robbed. We fucking get it. All right.
yeah. I honestly disagree. Just like I thought the fight could have been
I
stopped.
thought it could have
Now,
been two.
am I like that's in the moment? Obviously, hindsight. Barbosa's able to recover, and we would have been kind of I don't want to say robbed as fans, but not stopping it allowed for like something really cool to unfold. But like, I don't think. That being said, you can't be revisionist history. Like in the moment, if that fight stopped, I don't even. That's like a bad stoppage or a controversial stoppage, or you know what I mean?
Especially not after the second time Barbosa's like running around the ring and gets knocked down again, and it's like, yo, like that might have been a slip, that might have been a knockdown, but like either way, this dude's like fucked up. Like he's getting beat up the whole round. Sorry, his hat's tight on my forehead. He's just getting beat up the whole round. And then like, I mean, yes, manages to survive. Like good for him. But I mean, clear 10-8. Like I had no questions about that being
Clear
a
10-8.
10-8.
What was it Bisping saying? It could be a 10-7, but like I disagree with that. But like also I see where it's coming from. Like that was an ass whooping. But
Dude,
yeah, for
so
Yusuf put it on Barbosa and won.
yeah, two things here as well. Bisping is an idiot because he was saying horribly stupid shit about the fight. So I'll make a case in point example in the next fight breakdown, right? So just save that for the
Right.
co-main event. But then touching back on the scoring for second part of that, Chris Lee, who's the guy that the New Zealand camp notoriously came out and was like, yo, this dude cannot do his job, right? He scored the first round 10-9 for Yusuff. How you give Barboza a 9, I don't understand.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. No, I guess my scorecard, actually, no, not round 2. So essentially, Barboza hangs on, survives. I mean, you would think in the moment that, like, all right, Yusuff's probably going to come out and get an early second round stoppage. But you could argue Yusuff kind of shot his load in round 1. I mean, but, like, and you could also argue that, like, as he should have. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think both things can be true. Like, I don't think Yusuff, like, executed a bad game plan. Like, he went for the finish and, like, debatably got it. But didn't get it, obviously.
I think 3 things can be true. He did enough in round 1 where if he did take round 2 off just to recover, fuck it. You got a 10-8. Just don't lose 10-8. Like, you got it. And then he even said that in the fighter meetings to Dominic Cruz was, I'm going to come out, like, foot on the pedal, and then I'm going to hopefully get so far ahead on the damage that I can coast out the decision if it gets to that point. He literally said what was going to take place in this fight and then fucked off the last 4 rounds.
He's the anti-Cheeto Vera.
Starts fast, finishes slow.
Round. Yeah. Both questionable strategies. I think we should just aim for, like, if it's a 5-round fight, you should aim for 5 good rounds. If it's a 3-round fight, you should aim for 3 good rounds. Like, this whole just punting rounds strategy, just not a big fan of it.
Yeah, it's that's what Bisping said too in response to, like, hearing Dominic Cruz said that. He goes, well, why don't you just train for 5 rounds because that's what they're fighting. And, Dominic Cruz is like, yeah, I mean, of course that makes sense. And Michael Bisping was like, yeah, I just don't understand why fighters think for any reason they shouldn't just be foot on the gas for 5 minutes. It's like, you're in a fist fight. Like, yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. But, like, there's no 4-minute offense here, like, unless you're Corey Sandhagen. But
I will also say, as far as Sodiq Yusuff goes, man, when you look at, like, who he's fought, his wins aren't the best, his losses aren't the best. You know what I mean? Like, this guy's the most middle-of-the-road featherweight, and he's super inactive. I mean, he has 5 fights since the start of 2020. So we're if he doesn't fight before January of this next year, he'll have 4 years, 5 fights. That's terrible.
Yeah, that especially at his level, right? Like, if a champ did that, like, that's a little more, like, kind of par for the course. It's still an inactive champ. Shout out Leon Edwards, but it's more understandable at the highest level because it's harder to get those fights made, and there's more on the line, and blah blah blah. When you're at Yusuff's level, ranked 12, ranked 14, like, you need to be fucking climbing those ranks and being like, that's your time to go. Like, you're big enough that people know who you are, but you still have a lot to prove. Like, that ain't the time to rest on your laurels.
And I think he's had his ranking now for, like, 2.5 years. So it's not even a sense of, like, he's using it like, oh, I'm defending my ranking, or he's only taking fights ranked higher than him, which I would have argued was the case until he fought Don Shainis in his last fight.
Yeah, who the fuck is that guy?
Right. So then it's like, all right, man, if you're going to, like, roll it out there for that fight, what are we talking about? You know? And then he gets the Barboza fight, which I actually think is a good fight. But for me, as a guy that, like, I don't like Sodiq Yusuff. Like, I remember listening to him on Sirius XM radio driving across the country in 2020 and thinking to myself, yo, I don't like this guy. Like, it was the weirdest, like, this dude sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, Edson Barboza at 37, it's like, I this matchmaking, though, right? Because, I mean, Edson, like, you know, he's probably not making another run. And Yusuff, like, needs that win, like, kind of shit or get off the pot, you know? So I did like the matchmaking here.
I understand it from that perspective, but I'm just saying, like, as a fan, I don't give a shit about either of these guys winning and making a run because, like, Yusuff is unsellable from his inactivity, and Barboza's hard to sell because he's fought everyone above him, and I already know how that goes.
Yeah, and he's 37 years old. Absolutely jacked, though. Properly
Jocked. And his English is getting better. Like that, too.
So jacked. Man, and speaking of jacked and in shape and cardio, you know, he's able to recover, which every fighter tells you, like, cardio is a big part of, like, recovering from damage. And then so he's able to recover and then wins round 2, 10-9 pretty much off pace and pressure, which is like after getting like your dick put in the ground, like that's insane. To like come out and put a pace on Yusuff after getting 10-8 is impressive.
It's pretty funny too because I guess Felder texted in to Brendan Fitzgerald like mid second round and was like, "Oh, Yusuff's gonna let Barboza get into like a rhythm." He was like, "When you let Barboza get a rhythm, that's when he's the most dangerous." And like, sure enough, if you think about the first round, what was different? Yusuff's walking him down, putting forward pressure on him, throwing these hard, heavy strikes. Right, the Barboza's having to dodge, so he can't just fire back kicks as he's having to move off the center line. Well, then Barboza, I guess his corner told him, I don't know who, hey, march this motherfucker down. Like, throw your kicks. So when you have him march down and he's off his back foot, you can unload kicks on him. And sure enough, like,
oh yeah,
I mean, it doesn't. He's hitting that kick to the body, the spinning. He's hitting spinning kicks, side kicks, all sorts of things. The second, kind of opening it up. Still does that a little bit in the third as well. But you see what it leads to by the end of the third round when he clips Yusuff.
Yeah, I mean, let me ask you, bro, and keeping it pushing here. Round 3, I don't believe any judge agreed with me, but I went 10-8 Barboza in 3. I like Barboza's work, man. He got the knockdown. So, I mean, wrong sport, I know, like in boxing, that's already a 10-8. But then towards the end of the round, he landed that spinning head kick. Like, it wasn't, like, super flush, but it landed. Like, a knockdown and a spinning wheel kick to the head.
Well,
like,
wait, they were one and the same. That is the knockdown.
Oh, okay.
With 50 seconds left, he's spinning wheel kicks him and knocks him down.
Yeah, I don't know, but like, I mean, that's an intense knockdown, bro. Like,
yeah.
I mean, that's
well, it was super intense
that's
too.
not just like a flash.
Well, Barboza fell throwing it. Like, he lost his balance mid-throw, so you know it's not even full, like, connection. Like, the heel doesn't hit, the foot hits because he falls. If he doesn't fall, he's hitting the heel and probably flush KOing him right there.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, like just the foot to hit him, and still, like, Yusuff, like, looks at him for a second and then falls. Like, tries to set his right foot back down and can't, and just falls. And you're like, oh, he's fucked up.
So did I overvalue that? I mean, is that just putting too much on one shot, or is that...
That's how I feel, yeah. Yeah, because he doesn't follow it up. He doesn't pin him down on the ground. He doesn't do anything besides the one shot. Because Yusuff recovers incredibly well right there in that, like, 5-second window.
Fair. I was open, man. I was handing out the 10-8.
I think the flashiness of a wheel kick is like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. I fell for the flash. That was the, like the 70-yard touchdown and the QB sneaker, both worth 6. But
yeah,
I fell for the flash. Yeah, for sure. Fair enough. Just owning my scorecard here. Just owning my scorecard. I went with the 10-8. Doesn't end up really mattering, all things considered.
I thought about it just for the damage too, though, because you could tell like because it was cumulative damage that allowed Yusuff to get kicked in the head to that point, right? Like he was getting kicked in the body repetitively, which lowered his hands, which let that happen. So I did openly think to myself, like, is that a 10-8 for Barboza? And I thought, like, he did I mean, it's a great round, but Yusuff fought back enough in the first 4 minutes to where, like, that last minute wasn't going to be differential enough for me.
You're like, I'll let Dom be the mark on this one and end up with 10-8. Yeah. Fair play. Fair play to you, sir. Cool, man. We'll keep it pushing to round 4. I mean, Barboza, you mentioned body. Anytime we're saying nice things about Barboza, the word body kick is coming up, which is par for the course. We all know Barboza likes to kick. He's built a career of having electric kicks. I think in the UFC video game, they just released the kick power rankings, and he's at like 98 still on UFC 5. So, I mean, quite literally one of the top 5, at least according to the EA, like UFC, like ratings makers, top 5 kick power regardless of weight class. I think he was above Peloton. I think Peloton was at 97.
Oh, so, I disagree with that.
Yeah.
I guess because Barboza puts him on the head. That is true. Like, I will say, like, placement versus power has to be considered there because Pelotons are all lower leg kicks. You know what I mean?
I want to say Gagey was number 1. Maybe I'm tripping.
I can see that for sure.
Yeah, so, like, pound for pound kick power is just kind of an interesting kind of conceptual.
But did they make Gaethje strike defense a 0 when he's throwing a kick? Because that's also realistic.
Probably. It was a little graphic I saw. I thought worthy of note since Barboza just. But round 4, man. body kicks. I think he tripled up the significant strike numbers. Like, it was kind of clear by round 4 that, like, yeah, Yusuff shot his low, but, like, it was one of those things it's hard to be mad at him. Like, if I'm his coach, I don't necessarily know if I tell him to do anything differently, hindsight 2020. Like, he had Barboza. He was so close to the finish that, like, honestly, if he didn't go for the finish, I would probably have a bigger problem with him not going for the finish in one than the problem I have with him shooting his load trying to get the finish in one. You know what I'm? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, and it's almost. I mean, hindsight 2020, as we always say, but like, if he could have gone any harder for the finish in round 1, and he knows that now, he should have. Does that make sense? Like, if he was trying to hold back any punches to like secure positions right there, like, don't just go for it.
You're right, because that's basically a lose-lose, because you shoot your load and don't get the finish.
Right, like you put yourself in a position where you're not able to land the best strikes, but you're not able to keep full control, and you're also still using a lot of energy. It's like expending a lot to not put it out of reach in one way or the other.
The worst of all worlds, for sure.
It's a tough place to get caught in, though. I mean, if you think about it, you know what I mean? Like,
no, and that's why I keep kind of letting him off the hook. Like, I don't know if I tell him to do anything differently. Like, I can't, like, you know what I mean? Like, it was so close, like, as close as humanly possible. Like, you may argue that, like, 50% of refs stopped that fight. Like, maybe you know what I mean?
I could see Chris Tognoni definitely stopping that fight, because it seems like Chris Tognoni has it out to save fighters in those moments, which is all good, but don't be a ref if you're the guy that wants to save a fighter. Like, Tognoni stops so many fights where a dude gets like cracked and he sees him like, you know, like head back, like falling. Dude, he's running before the guy hits the canvas. And in this situation, I think Tognoni would have been like screaming on a beeline over there, like, "Oh no 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 no!" Whereas like Herb Dean was the ref, and he was like, "Well, it seemed to take a couple." And
but up to discretion.
And then if you had Steve Mazzagatti as the ref, he'd be saying, "He's fully conscious. He's fully defending himself. What do you mean?"
That corpse guard, baby. And then round 5, you know, pace, pressure, cardio. 2 through 5 honestly look fairly similar.
Yeah.
With the regard, you know, besides the knockdown in round 3, which stood out, but I mean, the pace, the pressure, the body kicks, it was kind of rinse and repeat for Barboza. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yusuff, you know, he was spent.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, when I look back at it, it's crazy to think that the 30-year-old got outpaced by the 37-year-old. And it's not like either of them are like, you know, or it's not like Yusuff is in his 3rd UFC fight, doesn't have a lot of cardio or experience. Sure, maybe it's his first 5-round fight, it might be a second one. But either way, it's just like, man, it showed just a bad camp for Yusuff. Because it's not like Barboza's the hardest guy to beat. There's plenty of guys that have beaten him and put on tape. Hey, forward pressure, keep your head moving off center line, circle away from his power leg. Like, I think there's plenty of guys that have shown that to a T. And when you're Yusuff and you're 30 and you're explosive and athletic and young and should have better cardio and the weight cut shouldn't hurt you as bad as it's going to hurt this guy, I don't know. I think every physical attribute was in his favor, and maybe he's just not that guy. And like I said,
I was about to say,
I hate to say that, but I haven't been a fan of his for 3 years, and I still haven't been made a fan by any of the techniques I've seen.
Well, and my takeaway is, like, the same way that there's an it factor. Like, the first time we watched Hamza, it didn't matter. It was against Riz McKee. We're like, this is something different. This guy's a guy. Like, there's an it factor. The opposite is also true. Like, you can watch somebody and be like, this ain't the guy. You know what I mean?
Facts.
I
can watch Reese McKee, you know, and say that's not the guy. Like, every time I watch Reese McKee, I'm like, it's not the guy. Which, also, funny you bring that up, because if you think about Hamza as far as like welterweight rankings, probably top 5, right? Reese McKee, literal bottom.
Oh, yeah.
So it's so fucked up that Hamzat started with that guy. Like, I get that's where you should start, but it's like, god damn.
Yeah, tough night at the office. And as far as Barboza goes, it's crazy because my power rankings actually match up with the real rankings, like, perfectly. Like, I have Barboza moving up to the 11th best featherweight on earth. takes Sodiq Yusuff's 11, which is probably what's going to happen. Those are probably out already. This Tuesday night episode, but
is it out? Yes, it is. Barboza's at 11. Sodiq Yusuff is at 12.
I like actually think I don't think Sodiq Yusuff's the 12th best featherweight, but I think Barboza is literally the 11th best featherweight because I mean, in my power rankings, I have Giga at 10, and Giga finished Barboza. I mean, you could argue that Barboza is like a bad matchup for like a Bryce Mitchell if you want, and I mean that could be interesting. But
I don't know. I think Mitchell would be enough of a dog to get in there, and Barboza couldn't grapple with him in close too. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. So what do you do next with Barboza? He fought up, so I guess he has to fight back, right? And you're trying to milk him dry, whatever name value he has.
Hey,
like
Lerone Murphy, 14 versus 11.
Murphy.
It's easy.
You took the words
it's easy.
out of my mouth.
And it's a guy that will strike with Barboza, has more finishing power than Yusuff, and is just overall more electric. Like, is a meaner guy. So it's essentially, I think we'll see the same thing that we just saw, except you're going to see the guy get the finish in round one. I'm actually very bullish on Lerone Murphy under.
Okay, yeah, probably get some good value, I'd imagine. I can't imagine that being a huge money line either way. Probably some good value there.
He's got pretty good power in his hands, Murphy does. And Barboza's open to getting caught in the start. Think about round one. Barboza was just eating shots. Like he was like asleep. And then all of a sudden his head was swollen twice the size of what it started. And he was awake. And he couldn't get knocked out. It was the craziest defense.
Yeah, I mean, it really was like a cardio. Like he outlasted. He survived and then outlasted. Which I think Lerone Murphy has better cardio than Sodiq Yusuff as well. So I think you match up Lerone next. That's exactly what the doctor ordered for Lerone Murphy's career. He needs that name. He needs that card placement because he has the talent. You know what I mean? I think yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then as far as Sodiq Yusuff.
I mean, tough. He has the win over Caceres like a year and a half ago. We lost your audio there is the reason I jumped in for you. But Yusuff at 12, you could arguably pick like a super nice featherweight prospect to throw him in against because, I mean, if you're thinking about like Yusuff as far as like value, his names and stuff, it's more of a ranking.
Jack Jenkins?
Yeah, like his ranking is more his value than his name, which is crazy. Like usually, I don't know, that's not always true, but it's just like, man, it sucks for me to say like, and confidently say like, oh man, Sodiq Yusuff's ranking is a bigger deal than his name. But that's 100% true.
I want to see him against. I want to see him against Jack Jenkins next, man. Let's keep it pushing to that co-main.
What do you think about Nathaniel Wood for that as well? Just
Nathaniel Wood, Jack Jenkins, that level. I had those guys in the same tier, funny enough, so that makes all the sense in the world to me.
Yeah, I could also see them maybe doing like a Cub Swanson Sodiq Yusuff if they want to keep Yusuff like in the playing field. I know it sucks. Like he's in a weird spot where it's just like because he has a win over Feely. Like he's fought all these guys behind him and they can't beat him, but the guys ahead of him are just clearly better. He like almost sits in this weird like 4-person tier where it's like you've already fought these other 3 guys, man. Like, fuck.
That's why I think Jack Jenkins makes all the sense in the world. Jack Jenkins coming off of kind of a technicality loss, injury loss, didn't really get beat, talented as all fuck, needs a bigger name win to like crack the rankings. Jack Jenkins makes a lot of sense to me. They both lost. They're both coming off a loss technically. I don't know. I want to see Jack Jenkins.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I have Jenkins at 17 and Yusuff at 14 in my rankings. So. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think that's perfect.
Yusuff to 15 in mind. But yeah, fair enough, man. Let's get to this co-main event.
Oh, god damn it. Let's do it. So, for anyone at home that's wondering, yeah, we bet on these fights. And no, we didn't win this week. And the reason is because the favorite in Jennifer Maia, who on paper and stylistically should win this fight every fucking time, fucked us. And you know what makes me mad about this fight, D-Mac? Is that if you come out and you look at her last fights, and you look at her style of fighting, you look at Araujo's last fights, Maia, like, fought scared of her power. Which was the most frustrating. Like, she would refuse to get in close because she was afraid of getting a counter shot in tight that she didn't see coming. And it was like, you're not going to do anything else in this fight because you're too scared to fight.
Yeah, I gotta say, and maybe this is, rationalizing as a bettor that just took an L, but like Maya looked off, man. It didn't. I mean,
not a good night for her. Like, I would take this bet
No.
again. Like, if we went back a week ago and you called me again, I would place the same bet every single time.
like, just not a great night at the office. That's not an excuse, but it just we've seen her look so much better, and as of late, she's looked so much better than this. Yeah, and I'm sorry, maybe I'm salty, but like I'm gonna say that's Jennifer Maya fighting poorly more than it is Araujo, being a world beater.
Yeah, dude, I can't understand how you get wins over Marina Moroz and Casey O'Neill after coming off losses to Caitlin Chikagian and Manon Fiorot all in the last 18 months. So, like, you fought incredibly quality people in the last four fights, and you have 2 wins in a row over Moroz and O'Neill, who are super quality. Like, I think O'Neill's better than Araujo. So if you're going to get that win, already I expect you to get this one, especially against a girl. Casey O'Neill has a much more diversified skill set than Araujo. Araujo has powerful hands.
Wasn't that O'Neill's first fight back after the injury, though? It's starting to look a little bit like that was maybe a factor. Just throwing that out there.
I
I
will.
think she's coming off an ACL tear, first fight back. Probably not her best. We're talking about this wasn't Maya's best. Probably safe to say that wasn't Casey O'Neill's best.
All right, but what's Marina Moroz's excuse? She was 15 at the time, like ranked 15.
Yeah, but in my rankings, Marina Moroz is very low. I have her in the second to bottom tier.
Ooh. Ooh. So why are we so bullish on Maya?
Not aging well.
So why are we so bullish on Maya?
Well, Araujo, I think, is coming off 2 L's in a row, and Maya's coming off 2 wins in a row. I mean, kind of
Yes, but you know who Araujo's losses are. Grasso and Hibas, who are both incredibly great strikers in the weight class, and the one thing she's good at is striking, so it's like, she's facing against the girls that are better at what she does specifically. Here's my major bone to pick. Maya's a really good grappler. She didn't grapple.
Hibas loss isn't aging the best, but fair. No, you're right. Maya obviously wasn't winning the striking and failed to go to plan B, which is the grappling, which she's really good at.
Until round 3. She did grapple in round 3 and won the round on my card because of it. But it was the only round in which she actually effectively worked to the fence and swept and got a takedown. Granted, she didn't do much with it, but just the visual of the takedown. Because if she'd done that in the first round, she wins the first round. The first round's super close.
Yes, first round is very, very close. It really came down to Araujo landing the power shot.
Yeah, so the more impactful punches. That's exactly what I have in my notes. Like, she just landed the more impactful strikes, and they sounded crisp. Like, she was landing them from further distance, so they were more visible. It was an optics thing. This whole fight was optics. Every single fight, or every single round I watched, I was like, oh man, or at least the first 2, like, Jennifer Maya's just not there for it. Like, it just seemed like someone, when a team comes out flat, and you're like, this team's better than this, they're just flat. That's what we got last night. We got this girl flat as shit.
I agree, bro. I agree. And I know it's not a very X's and O's breakdown. There's an eye test element to, like, watching fights and betting fights. There's an eye test element. And that goes for any sport.
Well,
and there's an eye test element to it. And we've seen Maya look better. Yeah, it's hard to do MMA math and it's hard to juxtapose competition, but I firmly believe, and I guess we'll keep it. We're kind of beating a dead horse here. We both firmly believe that we've witnessed better versions of Maya than we got Saturday night, and I think that's fair to say. I really do. Araujo ends up winning 29-28 on all scorecards. Won 1 and 2, lost 3. And so you're right, man. Round 1 was super close. I mean, that's that's a couple of squirrely scorecards away from being a split decision. I mean, it wasn't like Maya got dominated. So that's why we're saying that she didn't perform well because she pretty much barely lost while performing poorly. So if she comes out the best version of herself, like we've seen in the not so recent,
even regular version, not best, just
yeah,
not worse, just not worse.
yeah, just not the worst. You're right. Like she probably wins a decision, just like a little bit better version of herself. You're right. Doesn't even have to be the best.
It was
Like
almost like the Bills and Giants, like on Monday Night Football. Like the Bills they hardly needed to be the regular version of themselves to win that game, and they barely got away with it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they won a game on like a 3 out of 10. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah,
right, and that's where I feel like Maya gave like 4 out of 10 effort, and all she had to do was maybe give 5 1/4, and she could have won.
I don't disagree, bro. So if the Arujo cashes as the plus 130, Maya. The thing about Maya is she's getting older too. How does that
Arujo's older
affect
than
your
her.
power? You're right. You're right. So I have Arujo moving up to 10 in my power rankings, not the UFC rankings. And then I have Maya slipping behind Tracy Cortez. It's hard to watch Maya's last performance and Cortez's last performance and not like come out like I don't know. Give me Cortez. Like I mean, if I'm just going on last performance, last thing I have to see. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I'm looking at it. I honestly think that, I mean, based off the Jennifer Maya I just saw, give me Karine Silva and Tracy Cortez over her.
Yeah,
And that might
yeah. I
sound
mean, that's
harsh,
fair.
but if she's not going to grapple any facet, then both those girls are going to start to do something different to her.
Renee Silva's a young lion, young lion
Yeah.
lurking.
So I'm saying
Yeah.
these 36-year-old women that want to sit out here and have bad nights or whatever, even though they're like longtime professionals, and that shouldn't happen when you're that much a veteran in the game. Sorry, it just shouldn't. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? Like, because these young girls are coming, and when they get in there with you, they're not gonna fuck around for the first round.
And they want that scalp, right? Like they want
Yeah, like
that
your
head
head
on
on
the
a
wall.
plate feels cool.
Having that Jennifer Maya green check mark on your tapology, like that these young girls want that. So yeah, I feel you. Kind of dob her down, but also not dob her up on Arujo. Like I'd like by textbook definition had to move her up a couple spots in my rankings, but like it's not like I'm like
I
feel like
almost,
Arujo's going on a run.
yeah, I almost begrudgingly did it because I was like, all right, like you won 29-28 against the worst version of the girl that I had like ranked very close to you. So like, I almost want to drop you in these rankings too. Is how I feel about it. Like it's like both teams played under what I expected, and the better team played to their worst expectations, and the lesser team slightly underperformed. But that led to, you know what I mean? Like that was a bad
Yeah.
showing for a co-main event. That was a
I mean,
bad
Browns
showing.
Niners, keeping with these football analogies.
It's
Browns
perfect.
Niners,
Yeah,
the worst team won. The worst team won, and
that's a perfect
I still
analogy.
feel that way about the Niners game too. Yeah, man, but we'll keep it pushing here. This fight ended up being I don't know. I don't. I think if I call it a dud, it like shows my hand that I was rooting for Yanez. Like I
Oh,
was.
oh, you were.
You know what I'm saying?
I was gonna say,
I couldn't make it clear. I mean, and we get a finish. This was well, we get a second round finish. So like that's what I'm saying. I got to pick my words carefully here. I just thought we were going to get an absolute war banger with ding dong. What are the British girls calling it? We call them bangers, ding dongs. And I don't know if you're with that wave or not, but I thought we were in for a ding dong here, and it was one sided. I mean, this was one sided. I mean, I had these guys ranked right by each other in my
Me
power
too.
rankings.
Me too. We've talked about
They
all the
were ranked
time.
by each other in the real rankings.
Well, they're measurables. They're each 5'7". They have the same reach. They're like 1 year apart in age, and then they're the
Strikers.
same weight. The only difference is Jonathan Martinez better with his legs. Adrian Yanez better with his hands. But both strikers. But you gotta like separate. Martinez, he'll stop fights with leg kicks. Has before. Gutierrez has before. They're training partners, right? So like, boom, expect hard leg kicks. Yanez, insane counter boxer, will drop dudes. Got kind of taken apart by Rob Font. So like, I don't know if the highest level of boxing is where Yanez is at, but still a good striker. So you got to think about it in terms of, and I should have done this a little bit better in my head, but counter boxing How do you counter leg kicks? You check them, but if you're not a kickboxer, how you gonna check them? You know what I mean?
But we've seen guys time like counter left hands and shit on the leg kick, but Martinez sets his up at a high level to where that's not
Yes,
easy
he's
to
super
do.
high
Yeah,
level, and
yeah.
he was throwing inside leg kicks last night, like inside knee level leg kicks is what ended up stopping. Well, I don't want to give away what happens, but like,
Oh, give it away. Yanez got fucking destroyed.
bro, it was hard to watch. The whole
Close.
second round was hard to watch because his leg was done
Martinez,
at the end of the first round.
like all he's talked about since the fight ended is how bad he felt. Like that's not a good look.
Well, dude, he
Like,
was just like chopping it, like every time, just like chopping it, chopping it, chopping it. And Yanez, to Martinez's credit, that low kick on the front leg, Yanez is, by the way, we'll get to this too, absolute moron for not switching stances or at least trying it. Bro, protect the leg you can't stand on. What are we doing? What are we doing? But like, yeah, to Martinez's credit, he's setting those up beautifully, and he can't get counterstruck in his face when he's shooting a long leg kick out at the guy's front leg.
Let me just like, I'm kind of out on Yanez, bro, and I don't think that's an overreaction.
No,
they take. Like,
I'm fully out
Yanez
after watching this. Not a mixed martial artist. He's a boxer.
No, like, bro, took words out of my mouth. I won't even repeat it, like, verbatim, word for word. Like, the guy's not good at MMA.
No,
The
but
guy,
hey,
if you box with him,
in a misfits match, he will drop people dead on the floor.
it sucks that I don't think there's any, like, 135 or 145 pound celebrities. Like,
I know.
If Jake Paul was 5'7", I mean, this would be perfect.
Oh,
like,
Jack Doherty, the little kid that like talks shit to the Island Boys all the time.
Yeah, I guess. Because I don't know, bro, like, can't wrestle. He can't kick. He doesn't really have a submission game.
Yeah, I mean, also you got to think for Yanez. I'm not sure what his camp is, but dude, it's like they told him in the corner between rounds 1 and 2, like, hey, consider switching to southpaw. Your leg is so chopped up. Like, if you think you need to switch to southpaw to protect your leg, like, go ahead. They told him that's not a problem. We don't see him landing more strikes up top because you switch sides. He just said, fuck that. That's
Like
crazy.
He ate 13 calf kicks or all total leg kicks, not necessarily all just calf kicks, but 13 leg kicks landed in round 1. The first leg kick knockdown came in round 1. And basically, I mean, I don't know the exact stats on this, but I'll bro science it. If you get dropped with the leg kick in round 1, like, it's not going to get better.
Oh, you're not going 15 minutes. You're not going 10 more minutes.
No.
You're not going probably 4 more minutes on that leg at that point.
Yeah. Literally. Like, the writing's on the wall. It's over.
Like, you better just go balls to the wall, crazy shit, falling into Imanari rolls. Like, you better do anything you can that does not involve that leg being a part of your game plan, because it's done. It's done.
And you're definitely done boxing, which, like, as we alluded
Yeah.
to, like, that's all he got. He's a boxer, so it's just...
But, okay, but, like, let's at least switch stances. Let's at least give him opposite sides to worry about. Like, he didn't even do that. He literally just stayed one stance the whole fight and just said, I'm just going to land this right-hand counter. It
like,
didn't...
low level.
Yeah.
Low level, right?
Quite
like,
literally.
Low level.
Well, and then you know what else I started thinking about? Like, when I watched this fight, man, I literally went back and looked up his Tapology. He has been spoon-fed aggressive strikers to build his name off of.
Well, he built his name off Randy Costa, who's hasn't been in the promotion.
Yeah, Randy Costa's fighting in fucking, like, bare knuckle or some shit coming up soon. Oh, I lost your audio right there. I'm sure it'll come back in just a second. But yeah, so it's like, Yanez just, I don't know what to do with him, man, because 16-4, not a bad record. And I mean, 2 losses, 2 stoppages, that's obviously tough to deal with. But, I mean, you talk about the wins, he's got I got you, you're back. He has the KO over Randy Costa. He has a split over Davey Grant, which now looking back, that's not aging well either. The Davey Grant win.
No.
The Tony Kelly win, that ain't aging well. and then Rob
Yeah,
Font
he has
first
no
round
good
loss, and then Jonathan Martinez second round loss. Like the wins got progressively
Bad
less
losses,
impressive,
too.
and the losses are getting progressively worse. Because you could say the Rob Font loss is worse, but I would disagree because Rob Font, better, more complete fighter, harder skill set for Yanez to deal with. Jonathan Martinez stepped down in competition from Rob Font, still getting brutalized, different fashion, and exploiting the fight IQ, which fight IQ will lose you a fight in LFA. I don't give a fuck about UFC LFA. The fight IQ
I
is a
got
big
some
deal.
pushback there with one part of that sentence. In my personal power rankings, I have Jonathan Martinez above Rob Font in my personal rankings. Just throwing that out there.
As of now, after the fight last night?
Yeah, as of now.
Well, okay, but I'm saying going into the fight.
Okay, fair play. I got Jonathan Martinez moved all the way up to 10, bro. I got him right behind Song Yadong and right above Dominic Cruz.
Ooh, the
I think
Song
him and Dominic Cruz fight right now, like he beats Cruz right now. I think. I mean, you can argue, Cruz will wrestle him, whatever, but Cruz has looked like shit lately too. Like,
I have him at number 9, Dom Cruz right behind him, Song Yadong right in front of him. Is that where you said you have him at?
same order. Just I don't know.
Oh,
we have above that.
Yeah. Song Yadong is number 8.
10.
Yeah. What's that?
Yadong at 9.
Okay.
I bet I have more way higher than you. I have more at 6 right now, so I bet that's what's skewing this.
No, I got Umar at 6. I think I have Ricky Simone a little higher.
I don't know. So, well, I guess it doesn't really matter. Same general tier. We jumped Jonathan Martinez up into that second tier.
Yes, correct. Yanez 4th tier.
I dropped Yanez so far, bro. I dropped Yanez below both Basharat brothers.
Yeah.
And you.
Yeah, I have him. I have him right above Marcus.
Bros fuck him up.
Yeah, I have him right above Marcus McGee. I think him and Marcus McGee are a fire fight.
I have him above Douglas Silva and Andrade because that would be at least a matchup that he could potentially handle stylistically. but like I think both Basharat brothers are way too well rounded. Way too well rounded. We just talked about the sport of MMA, mixing the martial arts. He don't want the smoke with either Basharat.
Well, also, like, stylistically, the Basharats will take him down 100%.
I'm saying, like, he don't got nothing for that.
Yeah, like, so, I mean, if you look at his matchups...
way down. I dropped him, like, 10 spots, bro.
Yeah, I didn't realize it when the UFC was doing it because of the way he's doing it, but he has gotten to fight a lot of strikers. When he has to start fighting more grappling-heavy guys, like, if he fought Ricky Simone, he's getting fucked up. He's getting fucked up.
Not even a striker, bro. Saeed Nurmagomedov fucks him up. A kicker.
Yeah.
Like, and I have him like 4th tier. Like, bro, Yanez is not it. I'm sorry. Not it.
Sorry, Hickey.
Martinez might be it. Though, in all fairness. Like,
we're gonna save this conversation for the prelims. I already know because his teammate is Chris Gutierrez, but they're in the same weight class. And I think they would be a fight to the death. We'll get to that in the prelims, but like
they're gonna rob.
No. They'll never fight each other. But can you imagine the two guys with the best leg kicks and the whole UFC in the same happen to be in the same weight class, happen to be training partners, happen to do that to each other?
It would be like if Izzy and Poetan came from the same gym.
Yeah,
you know
that's what it feels like. Is it's
guys.
Like this fight's gonna be fire.
They're just cloning those like
and I will
Mexican kickers down there.
Those guys, Martinez, and they have American first names, Mexican last names. Chris, Jonathan, Martinez, Gutierrez.
I think Gutierrez is like Peruvian and Argentinian or something, but you get the point. The point still stands.
He's a little lighter. He's a little lighter. He's one of those light Latinos. All right, we'll keep it pushing to to middleweight. We got Michel Pereira making his middleweight debut, which honestly,
here for this. I'm here.
Yeah, I was going to say this was needed to happen against Andre Petroski, who Beefy Boys probably not the biggest Petroski guys, which good for us. He's plus 165 in this fight. Pereira's minus 200, and this fight lasts 1 minute and 6 seconds. And if you can guess who wins the fight, you probably already know the styles of fighter because Andre Petrosky ain't winning any fights in a minute and 6 seconds.
Exactly. Super snoozy style from Petrosky. Also, Petrosky, he has like 4 or 5 wins in a row, but they're all something feels fugazi about it, right? Like not the highest level wins and just not in boring fashion. So that's part of the reasons why we've been out on Petrosky. Honestly, dope matchmaking too to welcome Pereira. Because also, I always think that Pereira's old. He's 30. He's just had a million fights, and also we've seen him. He said he was cutting like 50 pounds to make welterweight or something.
Yeah, he said he was starting at. He said he would start his cut at 216 to get to 170. That's insane.
Yeah, that's so insane. So good on him. Bro, was literally the bigger man. He was way bigger than Petrosky. Like, way bigger. Like, it wasn't even close. Bro, it was like Petrosky was the guy moving up.
And welter, I mean, he's like 6'3", right? Pereira is? Like, for welterweight, he's always been the tallest guy, but he would suck down so much weight.
But,
oh, yeah. Okay.
I mean,
it's the shoulders,
bro,
I guess.
It's like one of those Peloton pictures where, like, if he was standing next to Marvin Vettori and you had to guess, like, which guy fought at a bigger weight class, like, you may guess Pereira.
Right. Right, like just the way his body's built, the way he sucks down. Like he kind of reminds me of not Paulo Costa to that level, but close to it.
Kind of. Yeah,
close to it.
Not the worst. Yeah, not the worst.
Almost more like a Brunson that could suck to middleweight is like a lot of what Pereira reminds me of. Like that same like big shoulder, like wide body build, but
wide body. Yeah.
I had Pereira ranked as my 19th best welterweight before I moved up. I had Petrosky at 22 in the middleweight. So this is actually a super interesting fight for me. It was a no bet based on that. Now, in hindsight, Pereira just way more technical. I mean, just way more technical. Like, embarrassed Petrosky with feints for 45 seconds and then fired a piss missile and ended the fight.
Yeah, I mean, it was what? It was a straight right hand.
Straight right, just straight down the pipe. And, like, you could tell Petrosky was, like, hurt after the fight. Like, he was, like, face down, like, oh, that shit hurt.
And then pounded him out. Man, a phrase that, I love my chaelisms. Anybody that watches the show before, I love my chaelisms. Another one that he always uses, like, when a guy changes weight classes, he'll use the saying, fresh coat of paint. And I think that applies. Tell me that's not the perfect analogy here. Like, bro, I had like little to no interest as Pereira as a welterweight. Like the Pereira welterweight kind of experiment had kind of run its course.
Well,
he was good but not great.
The weight miss against Stephen Thompson that like fucked the card, where Wonderboy was like, "No, I'm not gonna fight," and they had to pull the whole shit. And they didn't pay Wonderboy, and like halfway did. Like the reason he moved up, bro, was not a personal choice. That was the UFC like telling him like, "Hey, motherfucker, you fucked an event. You owe us. You're going up in weight." I know that happened.
The same thing that happened to Hamzat.
Yeah, like literally.
Same thing that happened to Hamzat.
Yeah, exactly. Like you owe us. Yeah, you're going up. Sorry about it. And you know what? That might be the one weight class where motherfuckers do this the worst. Welterweight. Dudes abuse welterweight, like signing the contract. Like, yeah, I'll make 170, and it's like, dude, you've never weighed less than 174 a day in your life. Like, what are you saying? And they're like, I'll make it. I'll make it. I'll make it. And it's like, this is where fucking RIP, but this is where Rumble Johnson started, was 170. And that motherfucker, this is where Parker Porter started, was 170. He's a heavyweight, okay? Don't tell me about welterweights with fucking body dysmorphia, you fucks.
that was fire. That was hot fire. But bro, like I know it's a funny little saying or whatever, but fresh coat of paint is like that's bro. Tell me you're not in on middleweight Pereira.
Yeah, 100%.
Am I just a hype beast McGee? Like, bro, I'm in on it. Like,
yeah, Alex Pereira, middleweight.
I'm here for it, bro. I'm here for it.
I said a different Pereira.
That being said, nicely done there. But bro, middleweight's heating up, bro. Like when I was trying to figure out where to place in the show, middleweight, bro, is getting deep with what's that face?
I don't get my secret juice Saturday. I'm salty.
Oh yeah, I we get something better,
bro. By the way,
get something better.
Just as far as like redemption arc, I've never gone from hating a guy so much to loving a guy so much from Paulo Costa. I was thinking about this the other day. I was walking my dog. 2 years ago, I was walking my dog. I was listening to Ariel Helwani talk about the bottles of wine excuses and shit, and I was like, yo, Paulo Costa fucking sucks. Like, fuck this guy. And then, like, leading up to this fight, bro, I can't be a bigger fan of anyone. Like, Secret Juice Army.
I feel it. I gotta say, objectively, I'm more stoked on Kamaru. Like, that's intriguing.
Oh, the matchup, yeah, for sure. I'm just saying, like, the redemption arc of a fighter. Like, fighters I've hated to fighters I love.
I changed the way I spell motherfucker when I'm texting.
yeah.
MTFK. You motherfucker.
MTFK. You motherfucker. These motherfucker.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Now that being said, man, I went so deep. Even off the win, I have Pereira ranked 21 in middleweight, bro. I got him behind Caio Borralho and above Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. But listen to those two names. Like, when I say 21, that sounds low. But when I say those two names, that middleweight's stacked now.
We have our rankings in middleweight. We don't share at all. Like, I didn't copy any of your middleweights. I did that all. We're almost identical. I have him at 22, right behind Ikram no, I'm at 21 as well, but he's behind Bo Nickel and above Ikram Alaskarov.
Because as good as in there at middleweight right now, you got the Kopylovs of the world, you got the Alaskarovs of the world, you got Joe Pyfer, you got Kizriev. Bro,
hell, even
Boyev, Borralho,
even Abu Smagomedov or Petrosian or fucking Anthony Hernandez, like, those are all dangerous fights.
And he may be better than them, but I just can't say confidently today that Michel Pereira beats those guys. Like, those are all probably no bets for me.
Agreed. Now, do I think, like, stylistically it's that's a big deal for Pereira going forward, because, like, someone like Muniz, not a great matchup. Someone like Chris Curtis, he'll dog walk Chris Curtis. Chris Curtis, sitting in the pocket, being all blocky and weird, like, that fool will get fucked up.
I have Chris Curtis at 24. The fact that he's sitting at 14 in the UFC rankings is a fugazi.
Oh, I have him at 18 just for now. Like, I'm throwing him a bone.
Oh. I don't know where you have Joe Pyfer ranked, but that's why the question I had to ask myself. I had to ask, I think Joe Pyfer, probably.
I got Joe Pyfer.
Beats Chris Curtis.
I got Joe Pyfer at 29.
Okay, I'm kind of meat riding Pyfer, I guess.
Well, but listen, like Pyfer's around Ruzaboyev, Magomedov, like Gregory Rodriguez, Brad Tavares. Like, he's in a solid tier of fighters. I've only seen him fight 3 times.
That's what I'm saying. The middleweight is like heating up.
Oh, dog! The fact that I have Kopylov at 34 is crazy.
Oh, fuck you for that! Fuck you for
that!
What? Give me all the Kopylov dong, dude.
I have Kopylov above Powerbar, above Phil Hawes, above Puna.
Get out of here, bro! Kopylov gobbler over here. You want to know really where I have Kopylov? And we can keep it pushing because this is hilarious.
Where?
The meat riding. The meat riding for me is wild.
Don't say top Kopylov. 15.
I have Kopylov. Not 15. I have him at 18.
It's a little high, but we'll take. I have it 34. It's a lot high, but we'll take it.
I have Rosboyev at 19, dude. I'm in on these young guys. I'm in on this new
wave. I have Rosboyev at 23, so we're right there with that. We're very different on Kopylov, but hey, that's fine. That's how these rankings, this is how they actually matter. You know what I mean? So we figure it out. But I'll also
figure it out exactly.
Ali Ashkabab Kizriev, I have him down here at 45. That's a guy I have a star next to because I'm really interested to see if he becomes something really good.
I have a belief in Kizriev. I have him a lot higher than you as well. I'm telling you, this new wave of middleweight, I'm here for the change into the guard. I'm here for
like I said, I have him at 45, but I have a star next to his name. Like, this is a 45, but very easily could be 25 in one good fight.
I have a lot of projection and what do you call it? Hypothesis in my ranking. I really do.
Okay.
Like
I actually, you know what? This is perfect. This is a perfect transition. Let's talk about this last fight based on our rankings, hypothesis, weight miss, why we didn't bet it, why we would have wanted to bet it. This is a perfect time to talk about our rankings and exactly why this fight is exactly what we wanted to bet and the reason we didn't, but how it played out still being meaningful.
no, fair play. So yeah, jerking the curtain on the main card, we had C-Rod, weight misser Christian Rodriguez, minus 140 favorite against the 22-year-old 9-0 Cameron Simon, plus 120 bantamweight division. I believe this is C-Rod's second consecutive weight miss, but he's missed bantamweight like 4 out of 5 times or 3 out of 4 times. I forget the official statistic. I think he only actually made weight once. Either way, you slice it. Guy's not a bantamweight, right? He's getting the Michelle Pereira treatment, if you ask me. His next fight's at featherweight, regardless win or loss. If you ask me, if it's up to me, I'm over it.
Was the fight he made weight for his last one against Raul Rosas Jr., or did he miss in that one?
No,
missed by 2 pounds. He
missed that one too.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess he made weight in his debut, which was against JSP. Hard fight at featherweight, by the way. JSP's a featherweight. So loses unanimous decision in his debut at featherweight and decides, I'm going to go to bantamweight. Fights Weems.
But not really. I'm going to go to bantamweight, but not really.
Right. I think
I'm going to fight bantamweights, but not be a bantamweight.
Right. I think he made weight that time and has not made it since. And he got a first-round submission in that, but now has not made it since.
Fuck that guy. But yeah, we had Christian Rodriguez ranked significantly enough above Simon to that initially we were going to bet C-Rod, but the weight miss, because weight miss can be one of two things. Weight miss can actually be an advantage or a disadvantage, right? And you never really know until the proof is in the pudding. This seemed like and Cruz was kind of alluding to this, that like, you know, this was probably the type of weight miss that helped Christian Rodriguez.
Yeah.
This one was giving him the benefit of the doubt, like, oh, but maybe he tried to suck his body dry. I don't think that's the case at all.
No.
I agree with Cruz for once. We don't agree with Cruz often. But when it comes to C-Rod weight misses.
This is one where you can do, like, human psychological math. And when I say that, what I mean is, so whenever you weigh in, I mean, obviously you have a 3-hour window to go weigh in. Most guys will weigh in 30 minutes before, like the last minute to literally the first minute. Like some guys are on weight, boom, let me weigh in, let me get this water back in me. Like I'm not trying to sit around and fucking wait. And then, the guys come in an hour and a half later, like they did their morning cut, they're coming in fresh off a sweat, boom, they're doing it. The guys that come in 15 minutes before wait time is up, those are the guys that are struggling, right? Rodriguez came in, I'm pretty sure early in the morning, 4 pounds over, said fuck it. Didn't
That's
like came back, weighed in again, still 4 pounds. So didn't try to cut, just said, I'm going to lose my check, I'm going to rehydrate. So if I had known that as a bettor, would not have pulled the bet because I already know he's not going through the extra excruciating weight cut. And as a bettor, I don't lose 20% of my bet to bet on him. He loses 20% of his purse. But guess what? I still get to win the same.
Yeah. No, all fair play. So we pulled the fourth leg of our parlay.
Which parlay wouldn't have won because of Maya, but I just want to put it in perspective for people at home.
Would have been juicy.
The juice on adding a minus 140 to an already, like, what was it, 4 times payout, 4.5 times payout?
475, almost 5. 475.
Right. So you're talking about that probably goes up to like plus 1,200 when you get the multiplier, and that almost even, like, it would have been dummy. It would have been like $20 to win 250 by adding C-Rod. And guess what? Would have been a good bet because C-Rod looked fucking way better than Cameron Simon. And now, caveat.
And I guess I'll push back a little.
Caveat.
I had rounded 1 and 2 being very close.
Oh, I thought they were all close. I thought they were all fairly competitive rounds. You could argue third wasn't, but I thought C-Rod was landing like the more devastating strikes. Now, I also think that has to do with, hey, he didn't have to suffer that last 4 pounds. Like, I legitimately think that was the edge in the fight for him here, which, I mean, all good, Christian Rodriguez. You're going to fight at featherweight next. Doesn't matter. I mean, it just doesn't
I
matter.
hope he gets stoned.
Oh,
And I'm going to bet against him because he doesn't believe he can beat featherweights. Clearly, he's telling us the answer.
that's a good
Just
point.
like Charles Oliveira, he wasn't going to
Hey,
fight Islam.
are we going to talk about that?
Ago.
By the way, we haven't even addressed that.
Chael, once again,
Chael, Uncle Chael.
Chael's been saying this whole time.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
Chael said that he never agreed to fight Islam. Like, he's told us 3 times that he wasn't going to fight Islam.
Yeah,
guess what? He's not fighting Islam.
What's crazy is, too, dude, I went deep with this off the Chael. Like, I went Chael conspiracy web, right? And I was like, Charles Oliveira has enough money, and there's good enough plastic surgeons in Brazil, they could fake that cut on his eyebrow. I don't think they did, but I'm just saying, I could see.
So I'm going to run and grab some tinfoil out the drawer real quick.
Bro, they literally forced this man to fight Islam, and he said 3 times, "I'm not fighting Islam." And 10 days before the fight, he's like, "Well, I got this crazy cut on my eyebrow because I was still sparring 10 days out, literally in the 5th round of my final sparring session of my final day of practice." That's what Dana said. That was the story. So literally, the last 4 minutes you could possibly tear your eyebrow apart, that's when it happens. In the fight you told us 3 times you don't want to take? Okay.
The 3 times thing is very real. Have you seen any of the memes and gifs of absolute street fight brawls, just no striking defense, and it's Charles in his final sparring flying to Abu Dhabi. There's been so much fire, ridiculous.
Yeah, it could have literally been him just saying fuck it, if you hurt me, I don't want this fight, to a training partner. Who knows? It could have been any kind of shit.
Because Chael was also saying that allegedly, I think Charles gets paid $750 and $750 or something like that, a $750 show.
I'm not flying to Abu Dhabi to lose to Makhachev for the 2nd time, where I can never challenge him again for that.
But Chael was saying how many? He was how many of you out there would $1.5 million for a cut on your eye? How many? He was framing it like that. That's a $1.5 million cut.
It is, though. That's a good point. It's a good point.
Yeah.
But to my point, Charles has money. I don't know how, but I've watched it on Embedded. The house he lives in, it's insane. I don't know what he's done.
The most bonuses, and money goes farther in Brazil.
I forgot about all the bonuses. All the bonuses, yeah. Because he has this crazy house.
He defended his belt, so he got some pay-per-view points. A million US. If you're
That's a long way in
show,
Brazil.
Yeah, it's not even. It's. I don't even think it's. Is it Sao Paulo? It's not. It's not.
No, it's Rio, right?
Rio. I think it's Sao Paulo, which is a smaller city than Rio, which means your money would go farther.
Oh yeah, true.
But regardless, we'll bring it in here. We'll rail it back in. Man, that being said, bro, Simon's grappling is legit.
Both, so I thought both guys' grappling looked impressive. Now, granted, Simon definitely better. However, I will say there were a couple times where C-Rod needed to make one simple move, like swim an arm over the top, and he would be in the right position. But Simon was just quick. He would cut the corners and not allow C-Rod to make that move in time. It was really, pretty impressive.
And I'm just saying, Simon is 22 years old. This was a very competitive fight. I'm not out on Simon. This is going to sound crazy. I actually bumped Simon up a couple of my power rankings coming off the loss. Here's why. I would have had him higher, but he has fought straight cans. He's undefeated. So C-Rod's not a can. We don't like him. We're not fans of him, but he's pretty damn good. And he won positions. On my scorecard, he won a round. I gave round 1 to Simon. I believe one judge did as well.
I did as well. I actually did as well.
So he won rounds, he won positions, he won scrambles, he won exchanges. He did a lot of good work. I thought he performed fairly decently. So, even though he has the L, I actually moved him up in my rankings because I'll take a very competitive L to a guy that missed weight and is pretty damn good over crushing cans.
Yeah.
22 years old.
And reading through my notes, C-Rod's under 25, Cameron's under 20, so they're 24 and 22, right? As far as years of age. And it's like I scored the first round to Simon, second round to C-Rod, third round I have very close. So it's almost like as far as
See,
like
I had two very close. I mean, like Simon won
well,
a lot of those scrambles, man.
yeah, but the damage
He
was
was
just
defending. He was
huge from
defending.
well, C-Rod, that was whenever he kind of started busting up Simon's nose a little bit too.
But also, like, C-Rod was going for those subs. Like, C-Rod was on the attack. But I'm saying
Yeah,
Simon had answers and counters and won some scrambles. Like, it was a close round. Like, C-Rod won it. But just Simon, man, I mean, it was a tough night out for C-Rod, honestly.
yeah, tough win. Like that's a hard fought win, and to miss weight by 4 pounds, so 20% of your purse goes back to homeboy, and you got the winner's purse. So like,
But
damn,
you know the bullshit part about that?
it's not the
It's only
winner. It's
20% of the
only
show.
show. Yeah,
Yeah, it's only 20% of the show, which I imagine C-Rod doesn't have the biggest show. But yeah, dude, I mean,
yeah, that does suck. I
honestly,
guess when you're fighting, like you got to think about level of opponent, and never thought about that. That sucks.
honestly, bro, like he's fighting at featherweight next. You can't convince me otherwise. And as far as Simon goes, I mean, I wouldn't mind against maybe like a Ronnie Yaya, a Kung Ho Kang, maybe even like a Miles Chapo Johns, like somebody that level of bantamweight. I don't know,
Miles,
bro. I'm kind of.
what about Damon Blackshear?
You can do that. Do that.
Or like, I mean, Miles Johns, Victor Henry would be all right. I hate Brad Katana, so fucking throw that motherfucker in there.
You could do that. I mean, you could do a Davy Grant, maybe an older guy, like a vet.
Yeah, I mean, what I think you don't do is a guy like Taylor Lapilus or Randy Nakamura. You don't do that. You don't do one of the new young fucking buzzsaws.
No.
Which is
you're right,
crazy because normally you hear us talking about like they gotta figure out the young guy to build whatever. I think the newest generation of fighters, there's a lot to stretch through those guys. Like they can go up and down.
More name out there that would move him up the card more than any of the names you just listed, but is in those same tier on my power rankings. The two guys that C-Rod just beat. Raul Rosas, the two youngest guys, the two guys that just lost to C-Rod. Raul Rosas, Cameron Simon. I mean, that might probably gets him on the main card of a fight night. I don't hate that at all.
Yeah, but you're gonna kill effectively one of their careers if they have to fight right now because Rosas, the lost C-Rod, his last win he comes out, but no technique at all, pure can crushing, dog shit win.
I think Simon wins. I think you can cut your losses at the UFC before you end up cutting Rosas these checks and not getting nothing back for it.
Okay, let me ask you a quick question before we end this and get over to the prelims. But does Rosas feel like more of a sales gimmick than he was ever a great fighter?
That's what I'm saying. And like, so it's not long. It's not long at all before Rosas starts asking for bigger checks. He's going to pull the Sugar Sean O'Malley. He's going to say, I'm not fighting anybody good until I get paid more, blah,
Not
blah,
to
blah.
mention his own like belief in himself is like way higher than it should be. So like he's not going to take a little check.
Simon's more of a company man. Like
Simon's a Drickus Duplessis.
So I think the UFC would rather do business with a Simon, personally.
Yeah.
And I think Simon's the better fighter, which makes that whole conversation work. Like, give me Simon. Like, as a better, we would get plus money. You know we would, just on name value and cachet alone. We would get plus money on Simon, and for once we wouldn't be idiots, and we'd actually bet it as a straight. And we're taking that ticket to the cashier's cage.
I think Rosas should not have been brought to the UFC until probably still not even now. Like I think if they'd seen him when he was 17, they should have put him on a list and said when he's 20, let's bring him over. Because
there's developmental deals.
Yeah.
There's guys that like they flow checks to. They're like, all right, fight LFA,
right?
Fight some other promotion,
but
that's the thing.
They pulled him over because he already had professional fights. He was 17, so it was a gimmick that no one other fighting promotion internationally could say, like, we have a 17-year-old that's going to win a professional fight potentially. Then he does, and it's a bonus. He's talking about, I need to get a minivan to get to school type shit. And it's like, very marketable promo right there. And the UFC is just like head over nuts in for him. And it's like, he's not that good of a fighter. And honestly, this is pure hater. I can't watch his interviews because that's what he says. Like, it's like fucking Sylvester Stallone was 18. I just can't.
Sylvester Stallone and Stipe Miocic had a love child.
Oh, dude. It's like fucking absurd. Like, man, take the mic out of this guy's face.
Yeah, but I mean, to put a bow on this, solid main card. Honestly, for we've talked about it before on the pod. There's Apex fight nights, arena fight nights, and pay-per-views. Out of the bottom tier Apex like fight nights, take it. The Michelle Pereira story is interesting. We found out that Yanez was not him. I mean, Maya Arujo was supposed to be meaningful, ended up kind of not being. And Barboza got a little juice in the tank, and once again, we proved that Yusuff is not Hemi Neutron.
Now for Yusuff and Barboza's efforts, they each got 50 grand extra for fight of the night. Jonathan Martinez got 50 grand for the leg kick stops, and Michelle Pereira got 50 grand for the one-shot KO. So all the bonuses are on the main card too. Yeah.
Yeah, so solid main card, right? For an Apex main event, Apex main card, I'll take it. We'll be right back in a second with the prelims, and please like and subscribe. I think we're at 139. Let's get to 150. We're on episode 150. We need to match our subscribers with our episode number. Help us out. Let's get to 150. Leave a comment. Appreciate your time.